Yeah, the big one at the moment, and it's not medium term, it's long term.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm a big believer that in the importance of an education system. And a well functioning education system is a very big barometer of where an economy is going to be in 30 years' time.
For sure.
And if I have a look at New Zealand at the moment, that's probably one of my biggest concerns is that attendance and achievement, we've got a lot of problems. Yeah, so I can sort of break New Zealand down into, if I think about the short term, our biggest challenge, I think, is just inflation. Yeah, you move into the medium term and you start to think about sustainability, climate change, being a globally responsible citizen, crime, law and order is a medium term issue. The current account deficit is a medium term issue. The long term, in my mind, is a lot more centered around education and getting that system right because the kids of today are the guardians, they're the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. Yeah, they're the guardians of New Zealand's economic future 30 years down the track. And if we're not educating these kids properly today, then we're going to notice it, unfortunately, a long time down the track. And this is where we're trying to rattle the cage a little bit in regard to getting the politicians a lot more focused or a lot more urgent about what we're seeing at the moment across the education sector in New Zealand.
So what are we seeing? Or what do you see, which is like really the biggest problem?
Well, it's a combination of problems, and you can't divorce what's going on with the education sector from other problems as well. So
Right.
if you've got a dysfunctional housing market, so that people don't have stability of abode, then odds are kids are not turning up to school. If you've got problems in regard to a cost of living crisis where families can't feed kids, then odds are kids are not going to school, they're staying home. And maybe those year 12, 13 kids are going out to work to support the family as opposed to going to school.
Right.
But if you look at a lot of the stats, 50% of New Zealand kids regularly attend school. Now, regular attendance is what's called 90%, there 90% of the time. So half of New Zealand kids are not attending school 90% of the time. Now, there's like 15% of kids are attending school, less than 70% of the time. And where we're seeing the biggest lack of attendance is in certain ethnic groups, Maori Pacific Island kids, which the broad story there is that we do not live in a world of equality of opportunity. And the same sort of thing is around the globe, America et al. And what COVID has done is it's exposed that we've become a lot more unequal in regard to the lack of opportunity out there across certain groups. And that's a real problem. We've got to bring a lot of these kids up to the start line. And it's not about equality of outcomes, but you've got to get everybody in the same starting line. So it's equality of opportunity. And that's a real challenge out there.
I often I often hear people that are sending their kids to school, or also like there's some interesting commentator across Europe regarding the quality of education, because we kind of seem to have moved away to a certain extent, at least, from a more meritocratic based system where performance or competition was more encouraged to a system where it is discouraged. Do you see that as well? Or is it more really kind of the attendance and, like, finding the time and so on and so forth?
It's attendance, it's achievement, it's yeah. Now I think we've pushed things too much towards participation.
Right.
Yeah, we've actually played down winning success. I think we've, in the desire to make everything a lot more safe, which is admirable, we've actually, the kids are not taking risk or learning about risk from a young age. So I'll give you an example. Yeah. So say a kid in a playground in New Zealand falls out of a tree and they break an arm. Well, yeah, when I was at school, the lesson was, well, be a little bit more careful when you climb up the tree. Now we will cut down the tree.
Right.
And all that does is yeah, you're not teaching kids about risk versus reward from a young age. You're not building these kids resilient. And one of my giving back things outside of my work life is what's called Life Education New Zealand, which is, yeah, we work with young kids. We've got this distribution network of, trucks with big caravans, and we've got this thing called Harold the Giraffe, but it's about teaching kids resilience and healthy outcomes and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's about getting the right balance. And at the moment, I just think we don't have the right balance in regard to what's going on. And naturally now, when you don't have the right balance, kids are leaving school and they're not as resilient as what they were 20 years ago.
Do you
Mind you,
see,
they've got a lot. They've got a lot of different pressures as well. We never had the pressures of the iPhone, Facebook, the Instagram, and the Snapchat, and all that social media stuff that the kids need to deal with today. And we were just getting out there riding our bikes.